Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Best Podcast Ever, where three idiots you don't know talk about a hobby you've never heard of. But we're still missing someone.
Yeah, wait a second. Well, there's like infinity of you. So it's hard to say whether we're undersubscribed or oversubscribed here because I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know. The show we're somewhere between 3 and 3 trillion idiots you don't know. Many of whom are the same person.
Many of whom are the same idiot. But yes, believe it or not, folks, we didn't just do one episode and then disappear forever. We actually did come back for another go at this. And we have a topic. It's been since what, episode like 4 since we had a topic?
Well, no, I mean, in fairness, I think it was episode 20 or so where I kidnapped Kevin from the wilds of Pennsylvania and drove him back across New Jersey to stop a race from being canceled. And he and I recorded an episode in my car. And, to our credit, we stayed pretty much on topic. That we talked about the, I think, 1988 Formula One season, or just favorite Formula One seasons in general. So that was pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's been so long, but let's not beat around the bush too much. So today, what we are talking about is limited edition items, and despite the fact that we went out of our way to say this wasn't going to be much of a slot car podcast, that's where we've decided to start this discussion. So NJ Hobby, our perpetual sponsor, as we always jokingly called them, has actually commissioned limited edition cars specifically for their store. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off some images here, and we're going to bring up their website. So as you can see here, this website lovingly created by, some genius.
Yeah, by me in about 15 minutes 10 years ago.
Yes, so they have they have these wonderful limited edition cars, and if we actually kind of zoom in a little bit here.
Yeah, zoom in a little bit more, Brian, since it's only on half the screen.
Okay, I can. Doop.
Ooh, look at that.
So, as you can see here, we have literally special edition, just stars and stripes all over the place, and kind of odd for a slot car, we have a woman in the driver's seat, sunglasses, blonde hair, blowing. This is actually a bit of an inside joke. So if you've ever met the owner of NJ Hobby, he is married, and this is his wife. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a nice little tribute.
I think it's cute. I think it's an older gentleman still in love with his wife. And you know what? If he's going to commission a little toy car and he gets to choose who's in the driver's seat, he's just going to put his wife in there.
Yeah, well, it's better than, the Mr. Magoo looking guy that Skeletric uses, or the Hank Hill looking guy that Carrera uses.
So,
here you go, honey. I count you on a level with Hank Hill and Mr. Magoo.
Well, so here's the thing, and here's why we're bringing this up. Normally, in most hobbies, if you get something that's called collector's edition, it's normally not collector's edition. Normally, you want to stay away from anything that says special edition, collector's edition, limited edition, because generally those are the ones that everybody buys and nobody runs. But also, that's because they're normally overproduced pretty massively.
Right. Yeah. I mean, limited edition, it's pretty much limited to however many they make. I mean, what would not be a limited edition, right, of anything?
Yeah, yeah. But the difference here, and me and Mike talked a little bit about this before we turned on the recording today, is this is limited to 50 pieces. Period.
Yeah, 5
the end.
That's a short run.
And I just noticed something. This is clearly a photo taken by the owner of NJ Hobby. This is a picture of a screen.
Oh, so it is.
Gonna
I'm
have to
just
call that guy.
I'm also just remembering as I'm looking at this the Bauer Porsche Targa that I turned into a pile of orange dust, but I tried to trim the wheel wells to use for some sort of modified class.
So here's
So
also some other.
don't do that with your 1 of 50.
Speaking of 1 of 50, he did this once before, just kind of scrolling through everything. Here was the first one he did.
Oh, yes.
So this was another incredible, limited to 50.
Wow, look at that.
And again, New Jersey NJ Hobby.
Oh, look at that. Okay. That's a nice touch.
So the guy who runs Bauer, his name is not Bauer, and the owner of NJ Hobby have been friends and have been doing deals for years. I think they're just having fun now. I think Bauer is close to retirement. And so is the owner of NJ Hobby, if we're being honest. And I just think they're having fun at this point. It's like, oh, can I do a 2-tone red Beetle with white wall tires and red hubs, and then we'll make the license plate. This is literally a New Jersey license plate.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, the blue New Jersey license plates were 1979 to 1993, so
which is when my dad owned a Beetle.
Yeah, not exactly period correct for that specific one, but
it's specific to the one he owned. Yeah. This is not the one he owned, though. He owned one in Faulkner Gray.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, 401. That's the address.
That's the street address.
Yeah, 401 in NJ Hobby, New Jersey Nostalgia Hobby. So yeah, that's how we kind of wanted to start here, because in here, let me bring back the images. And then
here comes all the Bryans.
Hey, but that is a true example of limited edition, as opposed to like Skelectrix does limited edition normally in the thousands. There was one time that Model Motoring did a limited edition in the tens of thousands. It was limited to 25,000 units, and what was even funnier than that is they were individually marked. And the one my dad kept was number 25,002.
And 2, thus violating the limited edition of 25,000.
So it was one of those things where it was absolutely hilarious, because it was just this thing where they had made way too many to begin with. And then, even on top of that, they made more.
That's interesting. I mean, it's not unusual for a production run of anything to be more than the target number, because, if you're speccing an order for X number of something, the people making it are not, they just want to make sure they don't deliver less than you paid for, because they don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
So it's not unusual to get more of something than you expected, but it is unusual if you're telling the consumer limited edition of 25,000 and then go to the trouble of numbering them beyond 25,000. That is ridiculous.
When I don't think there's 25,000 HO enthusiasts in the world.
I would be shocked if there were.
Like slot car enthusiasts, absolutely. 132nd, 124th commercial. Right. If we add them all together, we're in the tens of thousands. But
if you add them all up, you have at least 25,006. So, so 4 of them would not get one of these Model Motoring limited editions.
Yeah.
But if we're talking strictly HO enthusiast, I can't imagine that there's more than, No, I can't. I can't even come up with a number off the top of my head. I mean, what do you think?
Again, going back to the owner of NJ Hobby, who I've already said it in the episode. Fun fact: that's my dad. So yes, that is my mom in the little Porsche.
I like how you were bending over backwards to avoid mentioning that, even though you've mentioned it dozens of times on the show before.
No one knows our backstory.
Anyway.
There's one dude who knows our backstory, and he also lives in Australia, and I just can't get to him at the moment. But other than that one dude, no one knows our backstory. So
I mean, and Kevin.
he's part of the team. He's part of the team.
I know what else. Well,
Anyway,
yes, but he's
he
hearing
said
these ones as they go out.
yeah, he said back in the day he'd be surprised if there were more than 10,000 slot car enthusiasts in the continental U.S. And I think
That sounds
in the continental U.S., it's probably the second biggest market. I bet you the biggest market is Europe.
Yeah,
like if you count the EU as one economy, which you're supposed to,
right, which it is, yeah.
then it counts as the biggest one. It took a hit because England left the EU recently, but I'm sure it's still the biggest.
Yeah.
So
little reference to Scale Extra when I was watching the Saudi Grand Prix this morning or this afternoon. But they were talking about. I think Crofty was talking about how the virtual safety car, everybody kind of circulates at 40% power and holds their position. And he said it's a little like if you have a Scale Extra set and you put all the cars in one lane and, apply some power and they kind of circulate at low speed. So there you go. People were reminded during today's F1 broadcast that slot cars exist.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, and that's how limited edition should work. So there was actually, and to get an idea for how you can use limited edition, again, as a marketing tool, and then people will assume it's an investment. Somebody I met when I was working at NJ Hobby, the company he worked for owned a factory that just had 1 million stark white die-cast NASCARs. And then whenever anybody would win a race, they would print immediately. So the minute the race was over, this company then produced a limited edition of the winner of that race. God. And it's because the entire factory was just full of white NASCARs. And the moment it won, the factory started.
That's amazing.
That is just in time, my friend.
Yeah, how would they produce them? Were they just doing like wraps for the diecasts, or?
Yeah, I think it was kind of like it was essentially like a stickerish kind of thing going on. And for again, there are better diecasts out there that are actually like painted, but this was just this person won the race. We want to sell this car right now.
Okay,
and it's
interesting.
Limited edition to the run, not to the number of ones sold. So it was like you only had the weekend to buy the car. And then after that, they'd never make it again. But after that, no one ever wanted it again. So...
yeah, that's kind of that's very niche, right? I mean, that's like if you're collecting those, you're collecting them until you miss one. And then you're like, well... and then you just swipe all the other ones directly into the garbage.
Well, that's what actually, again, going off of limited edition, that's how the Star Trek action figure line fell apart.
Really?
So the Star Trek action figure line, it was one of those things where you can imagine Star Trek enthusiasts are completionists.
Yeah, I could see that.
So they were selling... tens of thousands of these action figures, and they were coming out because every episode they change clothing, or they have a different gadget, or they could talk. The little action figure could talk, but they came out with I can't remember if it was a Picard or a Captain Kirk figure. I think it was a Picard figure that was limited to like whatever the Enterprise's number is. It's like 14 something.
Okay. Yep.
So they only made like 1,400 of this one figure, so it sold out in minutes, obviously. But then the other like 30,000 collectors are like, oh, well, my collection's not complete anymore, so I don't care.
Right. Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're just scaring people off collecting more, I would think. I mean, that's kind of what I'm picturing, right? If you're like, oh, I'm going to collect, every NASCAR winner diecast from this season.
Yeah.
Okay. But, that's 36 of them that you're committing to collect.
Yeah, and again, like maybe if you're like a really big fan, like because the way I see it, there's two guys. There's the guys you talked about, and then there's also the person who's just a fan of a certain race car driver.
Right, I guess of the winner, yeah.
So if like it's the first time your guy won, you might buy it, or you might try and spec Now,
Yeah.
this actually leads into another interesting point, and I'm going to go ahead and turn off my cameras here and bring up something else.
Ooh, something else.
So this is something that Wizards of the Coast has started doing, and these are called secret layers. These are Magic the Gathering cards. Who? Are they only doing astrology lands now? Okay, so these are Magic the Gathering cards. Oh no, there's a view. Can I just go to the secret layer homepage? No, this is it. So these are Magic the Gathering cards that are only available for a limited time. You buy them directly from Wizards, and then they're gone, and they never make them again. Now, these are not unique game pieces,
right?
But these are unique art. So if you want, this specific art, these are like literally game pieces you can get for free, islands, swamps, that sort of thing. But if you want this particular one, you have to buy it now, and they're buying it based on FOMO. And as you can see here, there's a million of these that have happened. So they'll show you all the ones that have happened in the past. And if you want them, you have to be around when they're for sale, because the moment they're no longer for sale, they're never going to make them again. And you can see here, like, the bundle was $428. But the difference is, because Magic is such a big community, that I have actually seen that these go up in value, generally, as this kind of goes back on. And the reason I bring it up is because I think with limited edition, they really are just trying to go to FOMO.
And, yeah, absolutely. No question. I mean, that was what drove the, a number of 90s collecting fads. I mean, some of these things were just boomer bait, right? Like, my mother threw out all my baseball cards in the 60s, but I'm going to buy all the limited edition cards from every publisher and just put them in a drawer somewhere, and I'm going to retire on that. Or I'm going to buy Beanie Babies because they're limited edition, and if I don't get every release when it comes out, I'm just not going to ever get it again. Or, whatever, just trying to fill that void fill that void created by something that your parents did. And it worked, obviously. I mean, all that stuff, really took off in the 90s. And, I think it really, it taught the industry writ large, as, anybody who peddles in manufactured nostalgia, that you could definitely say limited edition, and there's a certain type of collector who will always respond to that.
But yeah, no, and it's one of those things too where you'll see that stuff, and sometimes you see it and it's really cool, and sometimes you see it and it's awful. I know when it was either Halo 2 or Halo 3 came out, more of the limited edition exist than the regular version. So if you're a collector, the limited edition one actually goes for less than the standard issue.
Fascinating. So yeah, it was limited to how long the run lasted. That's the definition of anything.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where, again, if you are going out and you are buying something because you are trying to do an investment with it, whether it be a slot card or a Magic card or a video game or a whatever, it's very important to know how to keep it. Because again, we talked about this as well with the Silk Cut Jaguar car.
Right.
Where it came with decals over the Silk Cut paint. And, the moment we saw that, everyone was like, oh, you can't take everyone's going to take the the fake livery off it. Right. And then the ones with the fake livery on it, those are going to be the expensive ones. When in reality, the exact opposite happened. No one ever took the fake livery off it. So now it doesn't matter.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, at this point, a rare one would be one with it off. Except that doesn't make any sense either, because everybody who has one with it on also has one with it off. They just have to take the stickers off. So, but yes, certainly there's no rarity to having the stickers on.
Yeah, and there's a million ways they got around stuff like that, but I think it also has to do with certain toys that maybe had a sticker on it that came off a lot. Because you do see that with Aurora, with like the Black Beauty, the Green Hornet car that has that Green Hornet sticker on top, so that kids could be reminded that it was the Green Hornet car, because otherwise it was just like an Imperial.
Right. Yeah. That was a useful reminder. But yeah, it was like that was like a paper sticker, right? So
it would come right off. Yeah.
The glue would dry up and it would just sort of flop off.
Well, here's another thing.
So,
That was a toy. A
right.
slotted car, as much as we like to call them toys, they're really more aimed at adults. Especially something that says silk cut on it.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, slotted. I mean, think about it, right? Whatever. I mean, as much as the Aurora cars are now, a nostalgia item. When they were coming out, they were making cars that were on the road then. Slotted deals in race cars from 30 years ago. From the 80s and 90s, because they know that's what their market wants to see, right? Because, I mean, that's what I want to see.
Then there's also companies like Cartrix, because technically everything Cartrix makes is limited edition. But again, it goes back to your original argument of, is it limited edition if every single one of their cars is just made like that?
Right. Yeah, I mean, every car from Cartrix comes with that little acrylic stand in the metal box with the chamois, for when you wax your
sometimes it's
car.
a chamois, sometimes it's just cotton now. The old ones were actual chamois. Nowadays, some of them are just microfiber. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they were real, like, leather chamois?
They were real chamois, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought they were always the microfiber ones. That's even more crazy. Okay.
No, the original ones from, like, 2005-ish had chamois.
Fascinating. But yeah, I mean, anyway, so there's this sense of occasion to opening one, but every product that has ever left their factory has been packaged that way. So it's I don't know. It's a great exercise of positioning that, like, it's special when you buy one of these, but how many? I mean, unless you're gonna collect the whole series. If you're buying them to, shred them, as I've bought several, and race them, and then, put the shattered remains back in the box and bury it.
The worst part is, too, I think I own 3. And despite the fact that I own 3, I use the same one over and over and over again.
Well, the first one I bought was that Mercedes, which was generally thought of as the best one.
It is the best. It's just no cap. Yeah.
But I've broken it so many times that it became unusable. So
and that's the other gag, though, because those actually do appreciate in value. A, they're limited; they're not going to make them again. And B, because they were well made toys, and they broke, and there's no replacement parts.
Right. Yeah, because unlike a Slot.it, which is definitely, even though even the collector presented Slot.its are engineered to be, race worthy.
But that's the difference.
And you could actually repair one, whereas Cartrix are sort of engineered in the toy mold of Scalextric or Carrera, where it's like, oh, you broke it, just throw it out. Yeah.
Well, that's the running gag, though, because with things that are like Cartrix, which are technically limited edition, but that's not really a known thing that they're all super limited, versus something that says on the box limited edition. If you really do look at the Cartrixes, they do mention that they're limited, but the same way Civics come in limited.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. Eventually they're going to stop making the exact same mold, but
that's hilarious to me that the one that is limited, that people don't know is limited, appreciates in value, versus the one that is limited, that is shown as limited, doesn't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's, because Cartrix is actually probably making a shorter run than the guy who's writing limited edition on the box, right? I mean, Cartrix is I imagine, a pretty small company.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing that it's...
Well, that's how they got away with making Ferraris for so long, because I don't think anyone knows.
Yeah. I mean, I assume that they just were relying on not being noticed to get away with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, when not enough people buy your car to start a rumor, it's normally a pretty good sign. You know?
Yeah. Well,
So
clearly.
there's that. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I know my dad in the past has said he has investments in the stock market. Everybody does. But he would have done better if he had just bought slot cars and like didn't sell them for 15 years and then sold them.
Right.
And I kind of feel the same way about Magic cards. So I can pull even, they're just right here. I have so many bloody Magic cards because I play the game and I do have a small collection of game pieces I use. But when like NFTs started coming out, I kind of laughed hysterically because everyone's like, oh, it's a thing that you can own and it's like art and it has value even though it shouldn't. And I'm just sitting here going, oh, so I just have physical ones of those.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just a physical NFT that I own. So I have no interest in the digital ones because I already have a whole box, you know?
Careful. Don't perform functions on those. They're non-fungible. Careful.
Can't put them in the well, here's the thing, I can't put them in a photocopier anyway, otherwise like Hasbro would be so far down my back that, you know.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
You know, they don't even like if you're testing with your cards and you write on like a game piece that's worth nothing the name of a different card because you want to see if it works before you buy it. That keeps them up at night that you might do that. Yeah.
Huh. So this is how totally ignorant I am. I didn't even realize Hasbro had acquired it.
Oh, they acquired Wizards decades ago, I think. It's been since the 90s. Yeah. Well, because Wizards owned TSR.
Okay.
So Wizards bought Dungeons and Dragons, and then essentially their entire product line was Dungeons and Dragons and Magic.
Right.
And then Hasbro was like, that's great. And now Wizards of the Coast represents so much of Hasbro's income that members of the board are wondering if they should spin off Wizards of the Coast again because they might be able to make more money if it wasn't directly tied to trying to make such a monolithic company like Hasbro money every quarter.
Right. Interesting.
Well, think of it. It's one SKU. Every Magic pack is limited, and you sell billions of them.
Yeah. That does. I'm just sitting here thinking about the fact that I recently, my daughter recently got a new copy of Candyland. She was previously playing my one, which was still a Milton Bradley one. But the new one says Hasbro Gaming on it, and I was like, okay, Hasbro Gaming. But I guess if they have their hands in some actual serious tabletop gaming, that's a little less ridiculous.
It's a little less ridiculous, although it's even funnier than that. So if you actually look at a lot of the board games that are coming out from Wizards, and I do the air quotes, they're not made by Wizards, they're made by WizKids, which is a totally different company that is not owned by Hasbro.
Huh.
So Hasbro is a major toy manufacturer. It's not like they just create toys and they have other people build them. Hasbro makes 99% of their product. And then the board games specifically having to do with Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons are produced by WizKids.
Got it.
Again, corporate structures are very weird, where it's like, oh, it makes more sense fiscally for us to let another company just do it, rather than us have to have anything on our books showing that. Because, like, if we just have WizKids do it, there's no downside. They just send us money. Versus if we did it, we would show cost.
Correct, yeah. That's true, I guess.
And again, Dungeons and Dragons does the same thing with limited edition stuff. You know, they always come out with limited edition books. And I'm like, again, books go out of print.
Yes, I mean, by definition, every book, and every edition of every book, in fact, is a limited edition. Because at the very least, there will be a different edition eventually. Look at all those little numbers on the copyright pages of your books.
But it's also one of those things where if you look at like, oh, but if you have, a first edition of Dungeons and Dragons red box in good condition, it's worth a lot more than you paid for it back in the day. But that's the same thing like Superman #1, Batman #1, which would be Detective Comics number whatever, where Batman first made his appearance. It's because these things had limited runs, not due to artificial scarcity, but just because the market was small.
Right. I mean, there was no need to make an infinite number of those because it had no significance at the time. I mean, it's only significant in retrospect. So,
But is that the thing? Like, okay, well now we're approaching it this way. Like, what limited edition things have you bought though, Mike? What have you kind of like fell for?
uh, it's funny. I'm trying to think. Like, going back to slot cars. Like, I've bought a few limited edition ones, but like grudgingly. Where I was like, I just want this car. I don't want it to say. Like, I feel the need to say as I'm buying it. Like, I'm not buying this because it says limited edition. Like, somewhere I have the Le Mans Miniatures 91720, the pink pig.
Yeah.
And it's one of the few slot cars that I've never taken out of the box. And I bought it and I was like, rare. Everything is rare. And I just put it back in the box. Yeah, I don't know. I've always had a strange relationship with those things. It's just by nature to, I don't know, to sort of dismiss everything ever. So
I bought the blue Jägermeister car. I've since sold it because when I was moving to Australia, I was trying to turn a lot of my physical goods into dollars.
Right.
So I had the blue Jägermeister Slot.it that was super limited, and I bought into that. I also had for the longest time. Remember when Star Wars came back for the special editions in theaters?
Oh yeah, I remember.
And
I was in middle school.
The toys were everywhere.
Yeah.
So I bought an Emperor Palpatine toy with lightning coming out of his hands, and it came with like a little gold medallion, and it said limited edition. And I kept that thing on my desk as a display piece for decades. And I think it's worth like $2.
Hey, congratulations.
Like, even when I was selling things to leave to go to Australia, that wasn't worth anything to sell. And I was like, man, anything on it that says limited edition is absolute bull hockey.
Oh, yeah. Well, because again, everybody who bought one held on to it because they're like, ooh, limited edition. Better,
well, do you think nerds are more into that than other people, though? Because people who are nerdish, like we are.
Yeah. I don't think that's the case. I think I don't know, maybe. Because, right, I'm just thinking about the properties that produce limited edition things tend to be on the nerdy side. But, yeah, I don't know. A lot of general sports collectibles go out of their way with the limited edition branding. I mean, I'm just thinking about, it's going on, it's 16 and a half years this week since my father passed away. And, there's just so much stuff that he collected, especially, in his 50s that said limited edition on it because it was the golden age of everything being limited edition.
Rare. And everything is rare.
Right, exactly. And he, even though he was the person who taught me to scoff at everything is rare, he totally bought into it in his later years. And so, like, about a year ago or some time ago, I was like, I'm going to finally start selling this stuff. And the first thing that sold, and it was so annoying, like the experience of selling this monstrosity was so annoying to me that I immediately lost interest in selling more stuff, was this like ridiculously large, and this had to be a McFarlane thing. It was an absurdly large bobblehead of Derek Jeter. And like, I cannot even describe how large this object was. So imagine you had like a couple reams of paper stacked on top of each other and then stood them on end. Like, that's how big this thing was in the box. And, it weighed nothing, but it was extremely bulky. And it was...
Which meant shipping it was still going to be stupid expensive.
Right, because then eBay was like, oh, here's how much we calculated the shipping to be based on the weight. And I was like, okay, great. So I got the guy's money and I got, what eBay thought I should get for the shipping. And, oh, wait, it doesn't cover a quarter of what it actually costs to ship it. And I basically lost money.
That happened to me once. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's even considering the object free because, somebody who's not living anymore bought it almost 20 years ago and I didn't care about it at all. I just wanted it out of my sight. And even at that, I basically spent so much shipping it that it wiped out whatever he paid for it.
Yeah, it's... I had that happen once because eBay must have tricked me, because I always say when I sell stuff on eBay that buyer pays shipping, because I'm not a major enterprise. I can't offer free shipping. And at some point, something got put up there for free shipping, so I think I made 5 cents on the item.
Oof.
Between eBay fees and the free shipping of this item I sold. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't even do the free shipping, but I let eBay calculate what the shipping was going to be, and it was totally, they just lowballed me on the shipping.
I always use flat rate boxes if I'm able to. I know you don't get the best discount on that, but at least I know for a fact how much it's going to cost to ship.
Yeah, this did not fit even in the biggest flat rate box because it was just such a stupid shape.
Yeah. So, no, it's weird like that, because once you have your limited edition things and you're done enjoying them, because here's the thing. Yeah, we can make fun of limited edition stuff all we want, but if it makes you happy, it makes you happy. But once you're done with it, it's important to be able to get rid of what no longer makes you happy to get what makes you happy. And boy, sometimes you do well. Like my vintage video game collection that I sold, I did really well on. And sometimes you take a bath. Like, I was more or less just paying people to take my Simpsons stuff away, just so that my parents didn't have to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically, there's just so many things that are limited edition. And, again, thinking about, my dad's collection, every time I go over to my mom's house and, if I go into the attic looking for something, I'm like, hey, wow, there's a lot of stuff here that, nobody cares about, and we should either sell it or throw it out. And honestly, I just don't want to throw it out because it seems like a total waste, but...
Well, that's where I'm at with that storage unit in New Jersey. Is I haven't seen that stuff in literally 4 years. But it's full of stuff I know someone will give me money for, so it's hard to,
That's the thing, is that, I am a person who sometimes remembers the existence of something stupid and then goes to eBay to see if I can find it. And I'm like, somewhere out there is someone who would like to have this. And frankly, I don't expect to make a lot of money off the stuff, but it just seems like better than throwing it out to at least have it go to somebody who will get some enjoyment from it. But, just matching up the object to the person is not always that easy.
Well, there was a group of toys called Attack Pack. I think it was made by Mattel back in the day. They were little cars that would have animalistic features.
Okay.
So they'd have big monster truck wheels because it was in the 90s, and then when you raise the car up, it was suddenly like a leopard.
Okay.
Or it was a spaceship and then it turned into an alien kind of thing. And again, it was just something I had back in the 90s. And it was one of those things where my mom literally found a pile of them when she was moving house. And I'm in Australia. I don't know what to do with these things. And I was like, you know what? Let's put it on eBay, starting bid $1.
Just see what happens.
5-pound box of Attack Pack. And again, somebody paid me $50 for...
Hey, there you go.
And again, I always recommend that to people who, if you're selling something you don't know and you just want it gone... Selling it online by the pound is viable. Even if you're giving somebody a sweetheart of a deal, you are going to throw it out. If you know what it is, though.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, I might have to think about that, actually. Because, I mean, it's really, at a point of being absurd how much of this stuff has sat for how long.
Yeah, and again,
for that exact reason. Because, I just can't be bothered, marketing all of these individual objects. We're talking about thousands of individual objects, and I have a life,
and you fall into that trap. And if you know what it's worth, absolutely pick out the ones that are expensive, sell those individually. You'll probably do better.
For sure.
But if it's just stuff you don't know and you're just trying to get rid of it, just put it online for $1 and have it be an auction. See what even if you sell it for $1, who cares? You're not paying shipping. So it's one of those things where if you just start putting them in the giant flat rate boxes, one flat rate box worth of race memorabilia, circa 1980 or 1990, whatever, and just say, have at it, boys.
Yeah. Yeah, you might have a point there. So look at that. I'm getting useful ideas from this podcast, unlike all of you idiots out there who are wasting your time with us.
Well,
so thank you, Brian.
That was an NJ Hobby trait. NJ Hobby, our official motto was eBay loves a pile. We would take piles of parts that we couldn't make profit off of, or we just didn't have the time to restore. and we would just put it online as, lot of 5, runner T-jets. No bodies, just the chassis, 5 chassis, starting bid $5. And sometimes they sell for $5 and you don't care because it was, more or less trash to you at that point. Or it'll go up to $50 because of some unknown reason, and you'll be like, great, your problem now.
I'm just thinking of the dumbest bulk lot I ever bought on eBay, which was a pack of 5. It was 5 of the Rainbow Shadow Magnetraction body. Because I had one and I loved that it was a shadow, but it was, and when I say rainbow, it was more like the Astros Tequila Sunrise uniform.
Yeah, I know the exact one you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah. And I had one, I just thought it was funny because, like, it was called a shadow, and the color scheme that Aurora had put on it was the opposite of a shadow. And I broke it, and I was like, oh, I want another one. And I found that it was cheaper to buy 5 than it was to buy 1. So I bought a bulk lot of this body, and I still have 3 of them unused somewhere.
I just thought of the dumbest limited edition thing. I fell hook, line, and sinker for this. So, as common viewers of the podcast know, we are from New Jersey. We might not be in New Jersey at the moment, well, some of us, but originally all 3 of us are from New Jersey. And there was a band when I was in high school called Thursday. I think they still tour now. I don't think they write any music. But in high school, they were my favorite band. And when I first got my real job, I started buying their vinyl stuff because there was a big vinyl, revival. I don't know if it's still going, but
yeah, it continues. Yeah,
I bought all their stuff on vinyl, and then Thursday broke up, and the lead singer Jeff Rickley met up with another band, which I won't say because there's a storied history with them. But let's just say they made a new band called No Devotion, and No Devotion was published on a record company that I think Jeff Rickley owned at the time, or he owned part of it. I'm not 1,000% sure on the story. And they came out with a single. And they didn't put the single on a single record. They didn't put it on a 45. They put it on a full-size record, but it was just 2 songs on one side of a record.
Okay.
And they came out with it in, like, a whole bunch of different colors. And for some reason, I bought, like, every version of it.
I mean, that is the whole point of the colored vinyl releases, right? I imagine.
So I think I own, like, 4 or 5 versions of that record. And then Thursday's original album entitled Waiting, which was actually in rights limbo for the longest time.
Okay.
Essentially, I think it was owned by the original drummer named Trotter. Something happened and he got the rights to it. And he finally sold the rights back to this new distributor.
Yep. And
they re-released Waiting. They remastered it, but I mean, how much remastering do you need from an album that was originally released in like 2001?
Right. I mean, it was probably
pretty fine. Yeah. So they re-release it, and they come out with like a dozen different colors. And again, I buy all 12 colors. And now I'm sitting here going, okay, this stuff exists in New Jersey. I have like 5 different versions of a single of a band that I'm not even that jazzed about. And then I have like 14 different versions of their original album Waiting. And I opened them all to look at the vinyl. I didn't leave them sealed. Of course not, because I wanted to enjoy them. Of course,
because you wanted to see the vinyl.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know what I'm going to do with that because I fell for that hook, line, and sinker. That's straight up like bait. That was bait, and I took it.
Yeah, I have refrained when I dip my toe into the vinyl revival. Now and again, I refrain from buying multiple colors of something. But I have gone so far as to buy, color versions of things and being like, oh, it look at that. It's not black. Well, that's exciting. I'm glad I paid more for this.
Well, I kind of even do that with these. So these polo shirts that I have, they're all the same brand, and I have like almost every color of it, both through a mix of me buying them myself and gifts.
Right.
But again, like I feel like clothing's slightly differently, but oh man, the amount of like silly colored things, yeah.
Yeah, it's one thing with, having many colors of the same shirt because it's generally frowned upon to wear exactly the same thing every day.
You don't want to Charlie Brown it.
that's as close as you're going to get to wearing the same thing every day without looking like a literal cartoon character. So, I fully support that. But yeah, I don't know that I need more colors of the records that I have.
Yeah, and
that generally collect dust anyway.
It's stuff like that that's going to be the downfall of me when I go back to New Jersey, where it's stuff that I enjoy, but I can't keep it. And just throwing away records feels so bad.
Yeah, that seems particularly dumb. Of all the things to throw away, I mean, you could probably sell them somewhere.
Maybe. Vintage vinyl's gone.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could sell them to a store, and then the problem with selling stuff to a store is that they give you nothing. So,
but again, like, what am I gonna do? I only have so many days in New Jersey when I go back. Like,
right.
I can't ship all this stuff to me. USPS is actually just not shipping to Australia.
Really? That's exciting. I didn't know that.
Well, essentially what happened there was when you pay for like priority mail or something, they have X number of days to get it somewhere.
Right.
And it was getting to Australia. It was just sitting here. Okay, and then it wasn't getting delivered in time, so you could claim insurance on it, and then the package would get there anyway.
I see. That's exciting. But yeah, I don't think you want to be shipping vinyl halfway around the world. That's heavy.
No. I might keep one of each, but then the rest gotta go. I had Bad Religion, another favorite band of mine from high school, came out with a box set of red vinyl. And for a little bit, I kept up with buying the red vinyl releases after the box set came out.
Okay.
And you want to know why I bought the box set? Because, of course, I had all of Bad Religion's music, like, digitally.
Right.
It's because, so there was an album. Bad Religion's second album was drastically different from everything else they ever made.
Okay.
It was called Into the Unknown, and rather than being a punk album, it was like an experimental electronic album.
Got it.
And it sold like a bacon latke. And it was one of those things where they pulled it. They pulled it. And they said, no, we're not, this is obviously not happening. We did a show. No one showed up. We need to go back to what we did. And literally their next album was literally called Back to the Known.
That's always I mean, music subcultures are funny. I mean, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the same people would be up for a lot. I mean, I don't know. It seems like a lot of punk fans would be up for, dipping a toe into the electronic side of things.
Not during that era. Not when punk was full of venom in the 80s.
I guess not, but and maybe not from the same band. Also, I think maybe that's the issue. Is to
that Bad Religion was going to sound like this now.
Yeah, I guess that would draw some backlash,
But essentially, that album had been out of print forever because it was only released in vinyl. They pulled it and they never re-released it because they're like, nobody wants to hear this. And then for the, whatever anniversary it was, they released the box set, and that was the only way to get the record Into the Unknown without paying the absurd prices for the original printing back in the day.
Got it. Okay. Well, then, yeah, that does make sense.
Well, what's funny is there's a song on Into the Unknown, which is like the only album or the only song that they like on that album called Billy Gnosis. And it must be one of those things where back in the day, they must have been able to put like gags on the record. Because if you looked at the old records, they would have on the very inner circle, clearly hand scratched, a note. And now normally that note would be like side A.
Yep.
But
right, and that's something that would get scratched into the master, and then all of the copies would have it.
Yeah, and this one had scratched into it The Return of Billy Gnosis. And it was one of those things where I kind of looked at that, and then I looked at all the things, and because these were clearly created off the same master, they didn't just take tapes and make a new mold for the old Bad Religion records. And then that just kind of got lost as time went on. And what's even funnier is Bad Religion hasn't always been with the same label.
Right.
So some of the records were not made by the company that made the box set.
Right.
And the red of the vinyl is different for those records, which is so dumb.
Yeah. Well, so don't stack them all up on a changer or somebody will notice. Because that's
Nah,
what you want to do with your collectible. That's what you want to do with your collectible records: is stack them on a changer.
I listened to the Bad Religion box set maybe once or twice, and then it was just a display piece in my room, and I listened to Into the Unknown maybe a dozen or so times. And then I think I managed to get Into the Unknown as a digital MP3 as a cleaned up one, because I had like a bootleg of it from way back in the day.
Yeah. Right.
But once I had the digital version, it's like whenever I feel like listening to like the one or two songs on Into the Unknown, which are decent, I could just do that. I don't have to listen to the whole record. You know, and I never had a good. I had like a Crosley. I never had a good record player.
Yeah, I mean it's funny. I mean, in the basement here, I have an okay record player from Pioneer hooked up to some okay speakers, and I have a pretty eclectic cabinet of records, new and old. But honestly, the person who listens to them is my daughter. So, like,
just listening to the Grover album over and over again.
No, she'll listen to the real ones, but she's the one who she's like, will ask me to put something on, or we'll just put something on, and I'm like, okay, let me put the ones that I'm going to be really upset if they get scratched out of your reach, and because she's 4, but but she's the one who has the initiative to go into the cabinet, look at the sleeves, find the one she wants, put it on the platter.
What does a 3-year-old want to listen to?
She well, I'm looking over there, interestingly, and this is a classic case of good mostly for the sleeve. And you're gonna have to edit this back in because I don't feel like pulling up a picture of it right now. But it's "Breakfast in America" by Supertramp, which has made an appearance in the podcast before.
If we can even find that footage, I'll slap it in. If not, too bad, guys.
It was in one of the diner episodes.
Hey! You guys got 3 cutaway gags last episode. I don't want to hear.
You know what? I'm going to find a picture of it right now.
You want to know what's even funnier? Is I mentioned in the podcast last time, if anyone said, hey, I want to hear Brian's recording of him being the salesman, I'd release it, and no one mentioned it. So clearly not even our super fan made it that far into the episode.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I can't.
That's BTE for you.
I'm not finding any non-tiny pictures of the sleeve, so good luck with that. But
it's fine. It's fine. And again, like, we're starting to hit 53 here, so we'll start wrapping up here. But yeah, I hope you guys have made it this far into the episode and that you're enjoying the revival of BTE. Mike, I got real bad news.
What's that?
I didn't start Audacity.
You're the best.
Oh boy. Dang it. Okay, well, this episode's audio quality is going to be a little well, oopsie.
You sounded fine last time, so again, I'm going to be the one who sounds like ass, but
yeah, Mike, if I could get a Big Mac and some fries.
This sounds fine in my head. I sound great in my headphones right now.
And it sounds fine in mine too. Otherwise, last time it does not sound compressed in my headphones. I don't know where the compression is coming from.
It wasn't even the compression. It was that it was clipping the entire time. Like, I don't know where that extra volume was coming from.
I had to increase your gain a little bit, but you're limited to -3. So first of all, you shouldn't be able to clip. You're limited.
Yeah, it shouldn't be, but I was.
Well, I think this is
sorry, everybody.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a good enough time to call it when we realize that Brian duffed the friggin' recording.
Also, great job. Honestly, now that I know that it sounds like that, great job to anybody who has made it listening this far, because I could barely listen to the last one because of how bad I sounded through Brian's recording.
Well, what's amazing about it is, like, when we started BTE, we all sounded like trash and we got views. Meanwhile, now, one of us sounds good, one of us sounds like he's in the Wendy's drive-thru, and it's a problem. Technically, our recording got 50% better, and you guys are upset about it. I don't know what to tell you other than I fucked up.
Good job, Brian.
Well,
way to own it, at least.
It's motivation to do the next one, and we are trying hard to get Kevin on. Our schedules are very kind of up in the air, if we're being honest. It's like the middle of the day here in Australia, so
Yeah, it's about 10 p.m. here, which makes it you're 16 hours ahead. So, this is me trying to do math. Here we go. What the hell time is it, Brian? I give up.
It's 12:51.
Thank you.
And if anybody asks, we're recording on Sunday. I am recording on the weekend.
Oh yeah. Even though I was talking about something that happened on Sunday earlier.
Oh, that's so weird. I cut Mike's mic. I don't know why that's muted. I don't know.
All right. So yeah, we're gonna try to continue doing these semi-regularly.
We're gonna push through even with this duffed recording. And
hopefully, when Kevin texted us a picture in the group chat before we did this tonight of.
Well, I texted a picture of the new Honda scooter I bought, and he then texted a picture of an engine the size of my entire scooter.
With no heads on it, so I guess he's trying to. I mean, he's been pretty well into that LS the last couple of days,
yeah.
And I guess he's trying to get to some sort of usable stopping point or reasonable stopping point on that. So he was not able to join us tonight, but maybe next time.
Yeah, no, again, put in the comments. You want to see Kevin, put in the comments if you want to hear that old abandoned recording. If nobody wants to hear it, fair game. But yeah, guys, hopefully you enjoyed our actually somewhat slot car related talk. So
yeah, that's kind of weird. I feel dirty now. But if there's anything else you would like to hear us delve into,
yeah, please give us topics. We are floundering over here.
Yeah, I mean, what are some limited editions that you've fallen victim to?
Oh man, what are some limited editions you fell for? What are some limited editions that actually worked out? Yeah. Nah, guys, we appreciate you. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Remember to keep us going so that we have some motivation to do this. Check out my channel if you're interested in Magic the Gathering. You can go ahead and find that. I'm not telling you where it is. Kevin did actually comment on his on his shout out in the last episode.
Oh really?
Yeah, he said it counted as his weekly Game Bro video.
Oh, there you go. So if you're looking for Game Bro, he is now.
He's somewhere in the comments. I'm sure we can find. If we look down there, he's somewhere in the comments. We'll get him somewhere.
Yeah, he's down there somewhere. I'm sure.
All right, guys. Good.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to stop.
Catch you next time.
We'll catch you next time.